Beyond Tehran's skyline lies Damavand, the towering volcanic peak that legends say guards Persia, its snow, sometimes steaming like a sleeping dragon. On the southern shores, Hormuz's rainbow hills glow with impossible mineral colors, while the ruins of Persepolis whisper the names of kings who once ruled half the known world. In this video, I'll show you Iran's most surreal places and how each landscape connects to the next, revealing a country stranger and more beautiful than most travelers expect. Kandovan's cone-shaped dwellings, carved into the volcanic tuff of Mount Damavand, have sheltered families continuously for over 7 centuries. Do you know Kandovan's rock homes are still lived in today, with tunnels and rooms hollowed entirely from ancient lava deposits? Walk its narrow lanes, and you feel a village frozen in geological time, where chimneys double as living rooms and facades are hewn from stone. Locals cook on hearths, recessed into the rock, and pass down century-old plans that adapt natural cavities into multi-level houses. The formation began when eruptions from Sahand laid layers of soft tuff that centuries of weathering sculpted into mushroom-like pillars. Over generations, villagers extended and connected these pillars into homes, workshops, and storage spaces, forming a honeycomb of human habitation. Kandovan's compact settlement sits above orchards and terraces that link it to the plains below, feeding a lifestyle rooted in both agriculture and craft. From here, trade routes once reached Tabriz, whose bazaars exchanged Kandovan's wool and pottery for saffron and silks. You can trace an unbroken cultural thread from Kandovan to other Iranian rock towns like Mehmand. Yet each village carries its own fingerprint of adaptation. Where Mehmand's cliff dwellings cling to vertical faces, Kandovan's cones rise like earthen sentinels, a local answer to the wider landscape of a volcanic architecture. Photographers chase the soft morning light that paints the tuff in ochres and rose, revealing textures time-carved into each facade. Elders in the village recount oral maps that name every hollowed chamber and the crafts once made inside them. Preservation efforts now seek to balance modern comforts with fragile rock. A conversation between conservationists and the families whose lives are threaded through Saudi. By following Kandovan's path north or down to Tabriz, the traveler discovers that Iran's landscape is less a collection of monuments than a living archive of human adaptation. Mount Damavand towers over the Alborz Range as the highest peak in Iran and the tallest volcano in Asia, its glaciated summit piercing clouds year-round. Do you know Mount Damavand's crater emits warm sulfur plumes that can be smelled from nearby villages, and ancient Persians believed its fumaroles were the breath of gods. At 5,610 meters, it is not just a geological giant, but a climatic keystone, catching moisture from the Caspian and feeding rivers that sustain valleys below. Its permanent snow and ice caps act as natural reservoirs that slowly release water through the long dry summers, connecting the mountain to farmlands hundreds of kilometers away. Climbing Damavand is also an archaeological journey. Hikers pass petroglyphs, caravan routes, and remnants of mud temples that echo Zoroastrian rites. Those ancient trails link Damavand to the great cultural cities of the plateau, making the mountain a spine between mythology and daily life. Beneath its slopes, unique alpine plants cling to volcanic soils, some found nowhere else in Iran, and they create microhabitats for rare insects and birds. These living pockets form ecological corridors to neighboring ranges and wetlands, demonstrating how one peak can knit diverse ecosystems together. Scientists study Damavand's sulfate-rich hot springs for clues about volcanic activity and climate change, because small shifts here ripple across the region's water balance. Local shepherds and village elders read weather from the mountain's snowline, a vernacular science passed down through generations. In winter, the mountain becomes a mirror for Tehran's skyline, visible on clear days and reminding millions how intimately urban life depends on distant snowmelt. In summer, trekkers camp on lava fields and watch noctilucent skies, where the altitude turns ordinary stars into a cosmic cathedral. Legends say Damavand once sheltered heroes and dragons, stories that have shaped Iranian literature from Ferdowsi to modern poets. Those tales travel with pilgrims and climbers, tying the mountain's physical presence to national identity and artistic imagination. Yet beneath romance lies fragility. Overgrazing, unregulated tourism, and shifting precipitation threaten the delicate alpine soils and water stores. In the next sections, we will climb Damavand's slopes in words and voices, meet the people who watch over it, and uncover the surprising ways this volcano shapes life far beyond its crater. Prepare to see how a single mountain can influence rivers, rituals, languages, and livelihoods across an entire country. By the time we trace a snowmelt stream from summit to sea, you'll understand why Damavand is not merely a peak on a map, but a living, breathing force in Iran's landscape. This is only the beginning of how one summit connects to many places, and the secrets it still guards will pull us deeper into the heartbeat of the plateau. Silver Beach on Keshem Island glitters with silicate-rich sand that reflects the sun like crushed mirrors, a rare coastal phenomenon found in only a handful of places on Earth. Do you know that at Silver Beach, the shoreline actually changes color after storms, shifting from pearly whites to pale blues as mineral-rich sediments rearrange beneath the tide? Walk its strand and you'll feel the sand crunch differently underfoot, a texture born from mollusk fragments and fine volcanic glass that tells a deep geological story. The beach's luminous surface is not just beautiful, it acts like a giant solar palette, scattering light in ways that helped ancient sailors navigate these waters long before modern charts existed. From Silver Beach, the view slides naturally toward the mangrove-clad inlets of Harra Forest, where the tidal rhythms sculpt both land and life in an intimate coastal notes. Dozens of migratory birds trace arcs between the silver shore and the shadowed roots of these trees, using the same currents that carry tiny biota, responsible for the beach's shifting hues. Locals still speak of nights when the shallow surf glows faintly, a delicate bioluminescent pulse that seems to echo the beach's metallic shimmer by moonlight. That glow connects Silver Beach to nearby Hengam Island, where playful dolphins and historic salt flats complete the chain of natural spectacles along the Strait of Hormuz. Geologists walk these sands with microscopes rather than excavation tools, unraveling microscopic histories that link the shoreline to ancient seabeds and volcanic upwellings. Each grain becomes a tiny archive, and together they make Silver Beach not just a place of beauty, but a living museum of Iran's sweeping environmental past. As the tide retreats, pools remain like polished mirrors, reflecting the jagged silhouettes of distant islands and inviting explorers to follow the coast eastward. The Hormuz Rainbow Mountains on Hormuz Island display mineral strata in dazzling bands of crimson, saffron, emerald, and cobalt, a palette sculpted over millions of years and shared by almost no other place on Earth. Do you know the Hormuz Rainbow Mountains' red soil was prized centuries ago for pigments that colored Persian ceramics and lacquerware, making the island an unlikely hub of artistic trade? Winds, salt spray, and tidal rhythms carve the soft, layered hills into moonscape ridges and cliffs that shift tone with every sunrise. Walk a single ridge, and you move through epochs, ancient seabeds, volcanic ash, and iron-rich deposits, each stripe a chapter in deep time. Locals call some patches red earth, or soil of the prophets, and they harvest tiny amounts still, a practice that ties living tradition to the island's geology. Visitors often cross from Bandar Abbas by ferry, stepping directly from the Persian Gulf's blue into this terrestrial prism, a transition that feels like passing between worlds. Hidden valleys produce salt flats and ochre gullies where crustaceans and migratory birds briefly animate the mineral landscape. Above those flats, the Rainbow Mountains meet stark coastal cliffs that plunge into turquoise channels, linking this spectacle to the strategic Strait of Hormuz. Photographers and scientists come for different reasons. One to capture ephemeral color at golden hour, the other to map mineral signatures that tell a story of ancient oceans. Every footprint reveals tiny fossils and mineral beads, clues that sediment once lived underwater before becoming this chromatic display. The island's small communities add human color. Fishermen drying nets near red dunes and artisans grinding pigments into paints, keeping an unbroken line from geology to craft. If you thought you knew Iran's landscapes, the Rainbow Mountains demand you look again and follow their hues to discover what else lies beyond the horizon. The rest of this journey will trace those colors, where they begin, where they end, and the human stories stitched between them. Along the Caspian's fringe, the Hyrcanian forests, part of Iran, are a 25-million-year-old temperate rainforest, one of the few such relics left on Earth. Do you know the Hyrcanian forests host tree species and ancient motifs that even inspired the stone reliefs of Persepolis? Persepolis rises like an idea carved from memory, its terraces and columns recording the empire's reach in stone. What seems at first glance to be ruined grandeur is actually a deliberate language of power, processional stairways, sculpted delegations, and inscriptions that broadcast authority across centuries. The site was founded by Darius III in 518 BCE and expanded by his successors, each adding halls that read like chapters of imperial propaganda. Its palace complex was not merely residential. It functioned as a stage where subject nations presented tribute, their reliefs frozen mid-offering. Look closely, and you will find tiny clues. The tapered columns echo earlier wooden protobees, while the stylized trees and animals recall motifs from the older highland forests of Iran. Alexander's sack of Persepolis was theatrical, yes, but the deeper story includes shifting capitals, changing religious centers, and the subtle erosion of imperial maintenance. Today, Persepolis stands as an archive in stone, a place where you can read seasons of Ember if you learn to read relief, angle, and erosion. Walking the grand stair, you pass carved delegations that freeze movement, but imply a world in motion beyond the carved frame. In that motion lies our final surprise. The motifs inspired by Iran's ancient landscapes were not static emblems, but living signs that shaped identity across millennia. Persepolis, therefore, is not only a monument to conquest, it is a palimpsest of natural memory, political theater, and artistic dialogue that still speaks if we listen closely. Along the warm Persian Gulf coast, Harra mangrove forests in Iran are among the world's northernmost mangrove ecosystems, surviving in an arid region. Do you know Harra mangrove forests shelter salt-tolerant trees that form living breakwaters and nurseries for vital fish and migrating shorebirds? Tangled roots trap sediment and clarify coastal waters, shaping shorelines that protect inland villages and centuries-old ports. Local fishermen still follow ancestral channels through the mangroves, harvesting fish and honey while reading the tides. Beneath the canopy, mudskippers, fiddler crabs, and hidden mollusks keep intricate rhythms that feed reef life and human communities. Research here has revealed remarkable salt tolerance in native species, insights that may help crops and coastal restoration elsewhere. Harra links Iran's dry interior to the Persian Gulf, a narrow corridor where desert, mangrove, coral, and pea flats meet in rare proximity. During migration seasons, the tidal flats become bustling refueling stations for birds crossing continents, a small yet critical stop on vast journeys. Threats from coastal development, pollution, and changing sea levels put this fragile mosaic at risk, imperiling livelihoods and biodiversity alike. Conservation projects that combine traditional knowledge with scientific planting of propagules have begun to restore eroded banks and revive nursery habitats. Visiting Harra reveals resilient green bands clinging to a stark shoreline, a living lesson in adaptation at habitability's edge. From these mangrove channels, pathways lead to nearby tidal islands and coral reefs, showing how one ecosystem's health ripples across the region. Protecting Harra means shielding coasts, fisheries, and cultural practices. Its survival will shape the future of communities along this ancient shore. Next, we'll move from these protective routes to the shimmering mudflats and fossil-rich beaches that tell even older stories of change. Mount Taftan hosts one of the world's few persistent, high-altitude fumarolic fields. Its sulfurous vents sculpting a moonscape above southeastern Iran. Do you know Taftan's steaming craters feed mineral springs and vibrant microbial mats that scientists travel far to study? Rising over 4,000 meters, its twin-peaked silhouette dominates the Balochistan horizon and creates its own microclimates. Local tribes map their seasons by Taftan's snowmelt, which colors the surrounding valleys with Hudden green after harsh dry months. From the summit fumaroles, sulfur deposits stain rocks in ochres and whites that glow in desert light, like strange sculptures. Hikers trace ancient pilgrimage paths that wind past steaming vents, sacred stones, and villages where volcanic glass was once forged. Beneath the vents, rare thermophilic bacteria live in acidic pools, offering clues about life's limits and potential on other planets. Geologists monitor subtle tremors here, recording Taftan's whispers that remind us the mountain is still alive and restless. In spring, ephemeral meadows bloom at the volcano's feet, a sudden contrast to the arid plateaus that flank its flanks. Those fragile flowers feed migrating birds and link Taftan's high world to the sprawling Lut Desert beyond, a stark continuum. The next chapter We'll follow those sediments and stories downriver, showing how a single volcano shapes regions far beyond its crater. Listen for the quiet, in the creak of a shepherd's gate or the hiss of a fumarole. Taftan speaks in persistent, elemental phrases. Its language is written on basalt, salt flats, and riverbeds, legible to those who know how to read the land. Soon we'll trace those marks into coastal bays where fossils and black sands tell another part of Taftan's story. But for now, stand on its flank and feel the longevity of a mountain that has been shaping life here for millennia. From that extreme heat to the cool marble of Tehran's most recognizable landmark, the country's contrasts are striking. At the western edge of the city stands Azadi Tower, a 50-meter marble arch built in 1971 to commemorate 2,500 years of Persian monarchy. Yet its meaning has evolved with Iran's history. Its name, Azadi, meaning freedom, was given after the 1979 revolution. But the tower's design blends ancient Persian and modernist styles in a way few monuments do. The tower's inverted Y shape, intricate geometric motifs, and the use of white-cut stone recall Sassanid palaces, Islamic iwans, and the avant-garde spirit of mid-century architects. Inside, a narrow spiral stairway leads to a viewing platform, where Tehran unfurls like a living map between mountains and desert. From that vantage, the city appears as a series of layered histories: Qajar rooftops, glass pylons of new development, and the Alborz ridgeline that keeps watch to the north. Yet Azadi Tower is more than a viewpoint. It is a stage for national memory, hosting protests, celebrations, and ceremonies that have reshaped public life. Photographs of crowds beneath its arch have become shorthand for pivotal moments in Iran's modern narrative, making the tower a civic heartbeat as much as an architectural landmark. To stand beneath Azadi is to feel the country's layered identities converge: natural extremes, imperial legacies, and the restless energy of a modern metropolis. Its museum and exhibition spaces beneath the arch showcase photographs and artifacts that track how public life has flowed through this site for decades. Linking history to the city's future, the nearby metro lines and boulevards funnel millions past the tower each year, making it an enduring crossroad of movement and meaning. The Jameh Mosque of Isfahan contains layers of construction spanning over a millennium, where Sasanian, Seljuk, and Safavid elements coexist. Its vast courtyard and four Iwan layout record the moment architectural innovation reshaped the mosque across the Islamic world. Step inside and you move through time. Hypostyle halls with carved wooden columns give way to soaring brick vaults and exquisite tile mihrabs. The Seljuk dome, built in the 11th century, introduces structural daring, double shell vaulting that allowed larger spans and dramatic interior light. Beneath the visible layers lie remnants of pre-Islamic fire temples, where chahar-tak forms were adapted into Islamic prayer spaces, an unlikely architectural conversation. This fusion makes the mosque less a single monument and more an open textbook of Persian structural and decorative techniques. If you leave the mosque and glance across Isfahan's skyline, the domes and minarets remind you this city's identity was forged right here. From these layered stones flowed later innovations that shaped Persian architecture for centuries, connecting Jameh not just to Isfahan, but to an entire region. To truly understand Isfahan's grandeur, you must begin in the mosque's cool shadow and read the centuries written into its walls. Only then will the later squares and palaces reveal themselves as a chorus echoing the original architectural experiment contained within the Jameh Mosque. Hoz-e Soltan salt lake holds one of the planet's most concentrated salt crusts, stretching like a cracked white tapestry over tens of square kilometers. Do you know Hoz-e Soltan Salt Lake can turn shallow water into a mirror so perfect that mountains vanished into the sky? In spring, thin sheets of brine reflect flamingos and gulls as if they were walking on clouds. By summer, sun and wind sculpt salt polygons and glassy crusts that crunch beneath your feet like thin ceramic. Microbial life inside the salt, tiny halophiles, paints margins in shocking pinks and oranges that seem almost unreal. Ancient salt caravans once crossed these flats, leaving ghost routes now readable only from the air. Local villagers still collect crystalline seams, carrying salt in bundles the way their ancestors did centuries ago. The lake's breath shapes nearby dunes and feeds the myths of phantom islands that appear in mirages. At dawn, steam rising from warm salt pans creates veils that hide solitary gypsum pillars like stone sentinels. Those pillars tell a harsh geological tale of water trapped, evaporated, and frozen in time as mineral architecture. Scientists find extremophile bacteria here that survive in salt concentrations lethal to most life on Earth. Their pigments not only dye the phthalates, but offer clues to how life might endure on other planets. Walk the rim and you'll see how Hoz-e Soltan stitches into Iran's greater tapestry: desert, mountain, and ancient trade routes. From here, the landscape funnels travelers towards salt pans, and then onward to the carved cities and lush oases beyond. This is a place of quiet contradictions, where emptiness harbors color and death gives rise to fragile ecosystems. Stay with the lake long enough, and you begin to hear the story it writes on the salt, season by season. In the next segment, we will track a single grain of salt from shore to caravan and the people it changed. You'll see how Hoz-e Soltan's shimmering surface connects to ancient economies, modern science, and surprisingly intimate human lives. The Kaluts of Shahdad are cathedral-like wind-sculpted ridges in Iran's Lut Desert, some walls rising over 100 meters from the plain. Do you know the Kaluts of Shahdad host one of the planet's most extensive yardang fields, carved by relentless wind, sand, and salt over millennia? From a distance, they look like ruined cities of basalt and sand, streets and alleys shaped by time rather than human hands. Closer in, temperatures and shimmering heat create mirages that make the ridges appear to move like slow waves. Ancient travelers avoided this landscape for fear and reverence, but the same forces that isolated it preserved rare geological stories in every striation. Layers of eroded sediment tell of wet epochs when lakes once sat, where now only salt flats reflect the sky. dawn, the Kaluts cast long, surreal shadows. At noon, the salt plains around them become like mirrors brandishing the sun's ferocity. By sunset, the ridged silhouettes glow in copper and purple, a color palette shared across other Lut wonders, such as Gandam-Barayan and the black basalt fields. Local nomads and small communities learn to read this land, funneling scarce groundwater from hidden aquifers into narrow oases that punctuate the desert. This is where geology meets history, and where the next segment of our journey will cross from lunar ridges to the shimmering salt marshes that cradle forgotten caravan traces. In the next chapter, we will follow those caravan traces across salt flats to the thermal winds that sculpt the neighboring black lava fields, revealing how one landscape bleeds into another. But first, feeling the grain of wind-eroded rock under your palm here in Shahdad answers a fundamental question about survival in extremes. Hammam-e Sultan Mir Ahmad in Isfahan preserves an almost complete 18th century bathing complex whose tiled halls and vaulted domes reveal an urban ritual unchanged for centuries. Its hot rooms, cool pools, and steam passages were engineered not only for hygiene, but for social theater, where marriages were sealed and political deals discussed. Enter through a modest brick portal, and you find a sequence of chambers, dressing rooms, massage alcoves, and the central sarbine, each space layered with painted plasters and minute tile patterns. Light filters through star-shaped openings in the domes, scattering speckles that animate the polished stone and create a moving fresco of steam and shadow. The bathhouse's water systems are a quiet marvel. Subterranean channels, reservoirs, and kanut-fed cisterns kept temperatures steady without modern pumps. Carved stucco inscriptions and faded floral motifs hint at the patrons who funded the hammam, while wooden pigeonholes above the benches once held offerings and messages. Restoration efforts have painstakingly revealed pigments beneath layers of soot, exposing a palette that once gleamed beneath candlelight. Walk the worn thresholds, and you can almost hear the measured chatter of bathers and the slap of massage mitts that marked daily life in Isfahan. Beyond its function, the hammam served as a civic archive, a place where news, fashion, and even poetry circulated freely among classes. From here, the script of the city continues outward. The steam dissolves into the saffron-scented alleys of the bazaar, and the sky opens to the mosaics of Sheikh Lotfullah Mosque. Follow that thread, and you begin to understand how Isfahan's beauty was built not only in monuments, but in the quiet choreography of places like the hammam. Silver Beach on Keshem Island glitters with silicate-rich sand that reflects the sun like crushed mirrors, a rare coastal phenomenon found in only a handful of places on Earth. Do you know that at Silver Beach, the shoreline actually changes color after storms, shifting from pearly whites to pale blues as mineral-rich sediments rearrange beneath the tide? Walk its strand and you'll feel the sand crunch differently underfoot, a texture born from mollusk fragments and fine volcanic glass that tells a deep geological story. The beach's luminous surface is not just beautiful, it acts like a giant solar palette, scattering light in ways that helped ancient sailors navigate these waters long before modern charts existed. From Silver Beach, the view slides naturally toward the mangrove-clad inlets of Harra Forest, where the tidal rhythms sculpt both land and life in an intimate coastal dance. Dozens of migratory birds trace arcs between the silver shore and the shadowed roots of these trees, using the same currents that carry tiny biota responsible for the beach's shifting hues. Locals still speak of nights when the shallow surf glows faintly, a delicate bioluminescent pulse that seems to echo the beach's metallic shimmer by moonlight. That glow connects Silver Beach to nearby Hengam Island, where playful dolphins and historic salt flats complete the chain of natural spectacles along the Strait of Hormuz. Geologists walk these sands with microscopes rather than excavation tools, unraveling microscopic histories that link the shoreline to ancient seabeds and volcanic upwellings. Each grain becomes a tiny archive, and together they make Silver Beach not just a place of beauty, but a living museum of Iran's sweeping environmental past. As the tide retreats, pools remain like polished mirrors, reflecting the jagged silhouettes of distant islands and inviting explorers to follow the coast eastward. Mount Taftan hosts one of the world's few persistent, high-altitude fumarolic fields. Its sulfurous vents sculpting a moonscape above southeastern Iran. Do you know Taftan's steaming craters feed mineral springs and vibrant microbial mats that scientists travel far to study? Rising over 4,000 meters, its twin-peaked silhouette dominates the Balochistan horizon and creates its own microclimates. Local tribes map their seasons by Taftan's snowmelt, which colors the surrounding valleys with Hudden green after harsh dry months. From the summit fumaroles, sulfur deposits stain rocks in ochres and whites that glow in desert light, like strange sculptures. Hikers trace ancient pilgrimage paths that wind past steaming vents, sacred stones, and villages where volcanic glass was once forged. Beneath the vents, rare thermophilic bacteria live in acidic pools, offering clues about life's limits and potential on other planets. Geologists monitor subtle tremors here, recording Taftan's whispers that remind us the mountain is still alive and restless. In spring, ephemeral meadows bloom at the volcano's feet, a sudden contrast to the arid plateaus that flank its flanks. Those fragile flowers feed migrating birds and link Taftan's high world to the sprawling Lut Desert beyond, a stark continuum. The next chapter will follow those sediments and stories downriver, showing how a single volcano shapes regions far beyond its crater. Listen for the quiet, in the creak of a shepherd's gate or the hiss of a fumarole. Taftan speaks in persistent, elemental phrases. Its language is written on basalt, salt flats, and riverbeds, legible to those who know how to read the land. Soon we'll trace those marks into coastal bays where fossils and black sands tell another part of Taftan's story. But for now, stand on its flank and feel the longevity of a mountain that has been shaping life here for millennia. From the shimmering salt plain of the Dasht-e that reflects the sky like a broken mirror to the Martian heat-sculpted valleys of the Lut Desert. These landscapes are stories written in scale and silence. Ancients still listen to qanats beneath Yazd, channels of subterranean water that sustained cities for millennia. In Isfahan, tiles map the heavens across domes and bridges, while near Shiraz, hidden yakhchals, ancient ice houses, preserve a forgotten ingenuity that once cooled royal feasts. The cedar-canopied Hyrcanian forests by the Caspian whisper of tree species that survived the last ice age, offering a living bridge to the distant past. Mount Damavand rises like a lonely guardian whose meltwaters braid into rivers that feed orchards and villages, connecting high peak to fertile plain. Lake Urmia's shifting palette of turquoise and pink is a barometer of both human impact and resilient recovery. Walk from the cliff-top fortresses of Alamut to the ceremonial terraces of Persepolis, and you trace the currents of trade, a faith and poetry that shaped this land. Each place folds seamlessly into the next. Deserts leak into oases, mountains spill into river valleys, forests edge toward the Caspian. And it is into those margins that Iran's real wonder is revealed. How extremes converse. If these scenes feel both familiar and utterly strange, it is because they ask us to slow down and to see with different eyes, attentive to geology, to water, to craft, to memory. Take these hidden wonders with you, the mirrored salts, the underground waters, the ancient trees, the living ruins, and let them change the way you imagine a landscape and the people who have shaped it.